Okay, so in the last video I talked a little bit about support systems. Today I want to talk about self-support, so how you support yourself and what that means. And I think this is one of the things that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, but is so incredibly important when it comes to implementing self-care or healthy practices. Just how one might support themselves throughout the process. It's very easy for the vast majority of people to be very critical of oneself. It's very easy for us to tear apart our own selves, and it's very easy to nitpick and be very critical, self-critical, and we have a tendency to just not be very nice to ourselves. Now, there are some people who experience the exact opposite, and they might be too nice to themselves, and I think that's where you start getting into narcissistic territory. So that's not what I'm referring to here. I'm just talking about healthy self-support. When I refer to self-support, what I'm talking about is having a positive, healthy internal dialogue with yourself, especially when you're trying to encourage yourself to do something on a consistent basis. Because I've said multiple times throughout this video series that we're doing something consistent, we're doing something regular, which means we're going to be doing something often. In order to do that, it's important that you have a healthy self-dialogue. If you are always telling yourself that you can't do something, that you shouldn't even bother, that why are you doing the things that you're doing, it's not going to matter anyways. If you're telling yourself these negative things and having these negative thought cycles all the time, then it's a safe bet that you probably won't continue on with the healthy habits, okay? So just like implementing external things that we do on a healthy, consistent basis, you have to have a healthy dialogue going on inside as well. And maybe I'll expand on this in another video, but it's imperative that you support yourself throughout this endeavor. And by support, I mean be gentle to yourself, be kind to yourself. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to just objectively stand outside of yourself and pretend that you are your best friend. Okay, you're your best friend in this endeavor. How would you treat your best friend? Would you tell your friend that they can't do it? Would you tell your friend that they should just give up? Would you tell your friend that they shouldn't even bother? Probably not. You'd probably be a lot more encouraging. You'd probably be a lot more gentle. And you'd probably objectively know the truth is that if they wanted to do something healthy for themselves, they absolutely can. People do it every single day. So why can't you talk to yourself that way, in the exact same way? Just pretend that you are your best friend. How would you approach things? How would you speak to that person? How would you encourage that person? How would you support that person? Okay, and then act accordingly with yourself. And you can literally tell yourself these things, okay? You can have a conversation with yourself. And you can have a healthy conversation with yourself, and you should on a regular basis, especially when you're not feeling completely up to it. You're going to wake up certain days and not feel like exercising. So how would you gently encourage your best friend to exercise? And that doesn't necessarily mean telling them exactly what they want to hear all the time either. You shouldn't tell yourself exactly what you want to hear. Sometimes you have to tell yourself harsh truths. Sometimes you have to just be honest with the person. Sometimes you have to tell your best friend the truth. And sometimes the truth is hard to hear, but that doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't tell them. That doesn't necessarily mean you should hold things back from them or lie about what is actually happening or try to smooth things over in order to keep the peace. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're supporting yourself. I think in another video I'm going to talk about affirmations and mantras and how this can also help when it comes to self-support. All right, until next time.